I'm Shannon Vandermark. This is the Happily Ever After Without Children podcast. Nice to have you back, subscribers, and a big welcome to any newcomers. This podcast is for anyone who doesn't have children and for anyone who loves someone who doesn't have children. It is for those who have struggled to conceive, but also for anyone who has found themselves realizing that chances are children are not in their futures. It's also for those steadfast in their decisions to never have children in the first place. Everyone holds a rightful place in this conversation. Everyone. And that means the men too. They just tend to be a lot more quiet, I find. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to write a review on the Happily Ever After Without Children podcast page on iTunes. Because I'm an independent producer, I don't have a publicity department. My mom does a pretty good job of it, but she is only one person. And she takes really long lunches. So please help me out and spread the word. I am always looking for anyone willing to speak to me openly about their journeys to reach a happily ever after without children. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please get in touch. Send an email to me, reachhappilyeverafter@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter if you search Happily Ever After Podcast. If you didn't catch any of those addresses, you can look in the show notes and everything will be there for you to find. Episode 8. Finally, I got a man to speak to me. Well, I convinced my husband Robin to get involved. There was a bit of bribery, I won't lie. But we had an honest conversation which covered our years of trying for a baby and all of the things that make us happy now. Robin is a sound engineer and is the regularly unnamed support staff of one who helps me make all of the thingies work on the recording device and teaches me how to make it sound even better by using audio editing software that he taught me to use. And continues to coach me with every time I open up the laptop. I suffer from a level of editing amnesia, which I'm sure he finds excruciating. Anyway, Robin is used to being the one putting the microphones on people, and he's generally a relatively shy person, so I had to ply him with cocktails. Is that glass of Jack Daniels big enough?
I might need a beer.
As an interview subject, he was pretty antsy at first. Do you want to switch places? So you're in the shade?
Grab the sun cream.
But his banter during sound check was pretty thrilling. You count a little bit?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had, what did I have for breakfast? I had 2 eggs in 2 separate little saucepans. One of the eggs cracked though, which was most annoying, as you know I hate that.
That's terrible.
And then I had it with a bit of nice avocado and maybe a bit too much smoked paprika on top.
Too much smoked paprika? How can it be too much?
Well, yeah, that's what I thought until I put too much on. And then it tasted too much of smoked paprika powder.
I had been wondering where the hell all the smoked paprika in the house had gone. Anyway, Robin was a great guest. Probably my favorite one. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I'll check in with you at the break. Guess we're recording. How are you? I know this is awkward.
This is awkward. But I know the day's been coming. I haven't really prepared for it. Do you want to say where we are?
Why don't you say where we are?
Well, we're at our nice little backyard garden, where you've been doing a wonderful job at getting flowers and stuff, trying to grow, despite the attack of the slugs and the snails.
Those assholes.
Yeah, I've now resorted to just chopping them in half.
Which is gross.
And I can't face it a lot of the times, but...
No, because you're too much of an animal lover.
Yeah, but it's a war. Some people got to face.
Take no prisoners.
No.
Well, what happened to the tactic of little pots of beer to drown them?
That was just annoying.
Too much waste of beer?
Yeah, it's my beer. Get off.
Get off, slugs.
Yeah.
And so that accounts for the rustling of the leaves. But what about the clink of the ice in the glass? Thingies.
I know what you're talking about. That'd just be a nice soothing drink.
Why is it when you know that you have to, well, when you have agreed to sit and talk to me about the topic of childlessness, or just, is it just being recorded in general, or the topic?
Being recorded in general, anyway.
Is nerve-wracking?
It's nerve-wracking. I've never been very good for being the one in front of the microphone. I'm more the one who works behind the microphone most of my time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the topic itself you don't have a problem with?
No. Do I? I suppose when I say what you're up to, you know, I say you're up to podcasts, and I don't go, she's doing a podcast about happily ever after life without children, you know, but if they ask, what's it about, then I'll happily say. Yeah.
Then do they tend to ask how the relevance to your life, or do they just stop asking? Like,
then generally they probably just stop asking, yeah. No one's really, I can't think of actually anybody who's really carried on the conversation, so either they haven't inquired or, yes, it's been left at that, but not, yeah. I mean, I met a couple of guys who, along the way, who, in a similar situation, and they may know somebody or have known somebody who's got a similar situation, so I tell them about it.
When you were growing up, did you have a vision of your life as an adult? And how that looked in terms of getting married and having kids? Did you ever think about that when you were young?
Yeah, I think I thought about that, where, yeah, I suppose I was like, oh, I won't get married and have children until I'm 25.
Right.
No, I don't want children until then, kind of thing. But then, yeah, just always anticipated having children, of course. Yeah. I suppose I've always been a bit concerned about having children as well. You know, there's a lot to deal with and stuff, raising a child. But yeah, you just think it's just going to happen anyway.
It's just the natural.
It's just the natural thing. It's going to happen. Yeah. I didn't really mean to not try and have children until I was around 40 years. I can't remember when we actually started. Well, we did. Well, we started really when we got married, didn't we?
Yeah, 10 years after 25.
Yeah. So I had another extra 10 years than I thought I was going to have, even before I started trying. Anyway. Yeah.
And do you remember what kind of we spoke about before we got married about having kids? Do you remember if there was even a conversation, or?
It was always just little Timmy, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we always were just like, oh, so when little Timmy comes.
That's so weird. I totally forgot about little Timmy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, little Timmy died. That's so weird. We haven't talked about little Timmy in years, have we?
Maybe not. Well, I think little Timmy died after we lost the first one, and I think because I don't know, we weren't going to name the first one Little Timmy anyway, because we thought, no, that's just silly. Little Timmy was always just sort of a joke for the name of a baby that hasn't come around yet. Yeah, I don't know. It was just always reference for, oh, that'll be good when little Timmy's around or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like, maybe we should take up sailing. It'll be great to take a little Timmy out on the boat.
Yeah, or the tents for little Timmy, and yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's so we were just anticipating a little Timmy.
Yeah. And then so we got married.
We got married. I mean, the first couple of years at least were casually trying, but not trying too hard, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't like the trying thing,
no, exactly.
Like phrase.
We're a bit like, it's just going to come naturally.
Yeah.
And then I think it was a case of, okay, it's not coming naturally, let's start trying.
Which to us meant?
Well, doing it on the certain date and all that, and having to do it when you don't particularly want to do it, and then that, which was kind of frustrating, but at times, but that was, all right, it's great, it's what you got to do to have kids, fine.
There's worse things you'd have to do.
Exactly, the worst thing you have to do, yeah.
And there were times, and it was taking a long, wasn't really working, it was taking a long time, so we were going through all kinds of efforts, because we both were traveling a lot as well.
Right, yeah, I was on jobs and you would come and visit. Yeah.
Conjugal visit.
Conjugal visit, yes. It's always nice to see you on a job, though.
Yes, exactly. The way I remember it, the pregnancy that you got the most engaged with was when we thought we were going to have twins.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Definitely, yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Why do you think that was?
It's maybe a bit sort of like, well, because we're struggling enough to make one. Even if we get the one, what's the chance of us being able to get another one after that? So this is like, oh no, this is perfect for us. We got two, and that's great.
And we won't need to try anymore.
We won't need to try anymore. You know, we won't need to go through this process anymore. Brilliant. And this is, yeah. And I did, you know, I'm not really a religious person, but I felt like, you know, no, this is it. This has got to be it. And the fact, you know, I think it was the weird thing of them confirming, like, you know, there's two heartbeats, you know, kind of going on. I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you, like, researching what kind of car we would need to fit, like, 2 car seats and things.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I remember being completely panicked. I was just like, oh, fuck, how are we gonna afford this? How are we gonna, oh my god, oh, and then like, oh my god, there's gonna be 2 screaming ones at the same time, but constantly I was a bit like, but same thought, we'll just get through it, you know, and we can treat them as a nice little package on the way. Yeah, no, and if another one came along as well, then sort of okay as well.
What, a third one?
Well, yeah. It wasn't like it was like, yeah, great, then we wouldn't. Then if another third one just came naturally, yeah, I was like, yeah. So we were sort of on a roll kind of thing.
Right.
Immediately I sort of thought, we're on a roll, okay, this is it. We found the answers. Finally found out how to make a baby.
Well, that was after getting the expensive Chinese doctor with the acupuncture and the herbs.
Right.
And it happened really fast, like the first few weeks of getting that.
Yeah, I suppose that was it as well, yeah. So and maybe that was part of my spiritual, oh yeah, maybe this Chinese voodoo stuff is, okay, maybe there's something in there.
And she was like, you can't, because I was supposed to fly to meet my nephew, was just born.
Yeah.
And she said not to fly.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I have to.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember the sequences, isn't it? But we always blame, I remember one we lost because you ran for the train.
Oh, yeah, well, then that was another thing. Is remember, leading up to my hip replacement, I was tripping a lot.
Yeah.
Because I was losing kind of stability in my... And so I was pregnant, and I ran for a train and tripped and fell.
Yeah.
And thought
well,
that was
and then, yeah, I suppose, yeah, well, the whole hip replacement thing, I mean, whether that did actually have an impact or not, you know, who knows, but it definitely delayed. It was a whole period of time when you weren't fit, your body wasn't fit for having a child.
Wasn't fit for the for the conception of a child either.
No. It was, yes.
Post-hip replacement. And then I thought I lost one because we were in Greece and I jumped in that ice-cold pool.
Yeah.
Or cave lake.
I know. Yeah. I know. Yeah. And the bummer was for you as well, all those times that you were like not drinking, especially in Greece at that lovely wedding we went to, and you didn't drink.
For a week in Greece.
A lovely week in Greece, and then yeah, for that being just like, god damn, what was the point?
But I was so happy.
Yeah, Yeah, at the time you were happy, thinking.
Yeah,
yeah.
There was nothing... It didn't feel like a sacrifice. It was like, yes. What I get sad about that wedding is that when we were expecting the twins, we thought they'd be 2 months or something when we went to the wedding.
Right.
And I just remember us being like, oh my God, how are we going to bring twin babies to Greece for a week?
Right. Right.
That'll be their first trip, and that'll be crazy on a flight, but we're not going to miss our good friend's wedding.
Right.
So what is it like? I know you can't speak for all men, but from your perspective as a husband, when your wife is going through, or your partner is going through these pregnancy losses and challenges getting pregnant?
Confusion, lack of understanding from your point of view, lack of empathy. Just a very strange time. Just a very strange time.
Like, do you remember losing the first one?
I mean, sadly, partly I sort of muddled them all up and I might have forgotten some, which I kind of feel bad about.
Well, I have too, I think.
Right, yeah. The one I remember is the one in Bristol.
Yeah.
That we were working on together. And when you lost that one, that was pretty horrible. It was pretty horrible, pretty confusing.
Yeah.
Because we were both on a job together and couldn't. It was hard to say because I got into trouble the next day because I wasn't really at work when I should have been.
Because we didn't really want to tell anybody what was going on.
We didn't tell anybody, yeah. And I was telling my boss, like, Shannon's not. I didn't really say, and I kind of regret not really saying because that got he thought I was trying to get away with stuff because you were the boss or something. It was like, and I think it was one of those things you just sort of say to him, like, it's Shannon's going through something, and it's like, just why didn't I just say what it was? Because you're kind of hoping that they might assume, but of course they're not going to. They have no idea. Number of things you could be going through.
Right.
Yeah. So that was probably the first time where it's like, actually, no, you should just say, there's a problem here. We haven't, the baby we thought we were going to have isn't happening anymore, and Shannon's going to have to stay in hospital and that for a day or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think that you didn't say that?
To say we've lost a baby. We've lost a baby. We need a bit of time. Yeah. You just never really said it to anybody. I'm still, afraid just never really said that to anybody.
Yeah.
You don't, and I know people don't.
Yeah.
Because it would be a very different world if actually people turned around and said, "Oh, I lost a baby the other day," and you go, "Oh, mate, sorry, have a drink."
Yeah.
And it could be turned around like that, and you do feel like, God, the number of women that are just, are losing babies, effectively have to, and just keep it quiet. You don't want to make people feel awkward, but it's one of those things where, you just start talking about it and making it an acceptable thing because it happens, then people can start talking about it, I think, now in retrospect.
But do you find it any easier now to talk about it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah but mainly because probably what you've done, by you talking about it as well and making it, I know it could have been so different. We could have just gone along on our way and not really talked about it and just still going sort of like, oh, why don't you have kids, and start going, as I was used to, I go, oh, what do you want them for, those little brats? Why do you want one of them? They're just annoying.
When were you saying that?
For ages.
While we were trying?
Yeah. While we were trying, kind of thing, exactly. Well, near the end of, I think they were at the beginning, I was sort of going, well, we haven't had much luck yet, maybe. And later on, I sort of changed the story when I sort of thought it just wasn't going to happen, to pretending that I never really wanted them anyway.
Right.
So yeah, you go, why are one of those little brats kind of thing? Yeah, because if you say we're sort of trying and that, then people start going, oh, it's all right, it will happen for you, and all that, and which is nice of them, but yeah, just like, yeah, I mean, it is encouraging. I can't diss them from saying that.
But it's a little annoying.
Yeah.
But then it's annoying because you kind of want to go, you have no idea, like, it will happen. That could be a lie.
Yeah.
Or you have no idea what's going on with us.
Right.
But that's our fault for not saying it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you don't want to be a downer as well. You know, who wants to be a downer? There's all these other things like depression and stuff. People at work don't generally go, well, I'm actually a bit depressed. Although I have noticed now people at work start sort of saying it, which is great. Which is great actually, because you're like, all right, okay, good for you for speaking out. Okay, aware of it. Yeah, don't bore me about it. Yeah, nobody wants to be bored about it. But I'm glad you've told me, and that's fine, because because I can sort of, because then maybe I can put in a bit, or just say, oh, I'm sorry, mate.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate, and move on, and that's all people want. That's all people want. When people, when I say, oh, well, we haven't had much luck, and someone says, oh, sorry about that. That's all I want.
100%.
Yeah, I don't. I suppose it's worse when they start going. Well, the problem, when they start then going, oh, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you thought about adoption? You were saying.
Can you just tell me, like, what your kind of mindset was about adoption before we ever really talked about doing it?
I don't know. I just thought, I don't know, I'm really confused about it. Because it's like, oh, you're not, it's not your own child. I don't know, but one of my best friends was adopted, so I felt quite comfortable knowing that. Well, that was confusing because he grew up to be a lovely, lovely man. His sister, on the other hand, was always a bit of a problem, so it was one of those lottery things, and if you got a bad one, would you start to feel a bit worse about it than if it was your own bad one?
Right.
I don't, sort of little things like that, but... And also, I think there was the sort of the bonus things, like, okay, and that whole thing about writing about having children when you're 60, it's like, oh, well, then maybe we can jump the gun, actually. This is quite good. We don't have to deal with a crying baby who's, up all night, keeping us up all night. We can have a toddler or something, a little bit older and great. And then and get a toddler who's now who'll be the same age as our friends' kids.
Right.
And, okay, yeah, this makes sense, yeah. Let's look into it.
Easy.
Why not? Should have done this sooner. In fact, it's better for the world, all these poor kids without.
All of these kids out there who need parents.
Mm-hmm.
So many of them.
So many fit, healthy young kids who need parents. Now, there aren't the Irish Catholic lot who've had a child out of wedlock who want to get rid of it, from a perfectly middle class family who want to get rid of their child. That doesn't really happen. Well, it doesn't happen in England. What there is, and it's very sad, is the children that are available have been through trauma. The system now is that they will do everything to keep the child with the parent. And no longer can a parent just go, I don't want my child anymore, and give it up for adoption. And
even if it's not the parents, then just somebody in that
just
child's family.
Somebody in that child's family. They will keep that child in the child's family, even if auntie has to pretend that she's the mother or whatever they do, which is all fucked up anyway. So yeah, and I couldn't deal with the fact of having to raise a troubled child. I wasn't prepared to raise somebody else's troubled child. I just didn't have it in me. I couldn't do it. And I'm sorry about that, as I keep saying. It didn't make sense to me. That's not fair. I'm punished because I can't have my own child. So now you've got to now try and bring up a troubled child. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no, sorry. I can't do that, I don't feel like I'm that sort of person that can raise a troubled child.
I'm going to take a short break here to talk a little bit about something that Robin touched on, and that is open dialogue about mental health issues. The mental health topic is gaining momentum, and for good reason. So many people suffer in silence when the act of sharing what's really going on could be life-saving. Robin has noticed more guys at work being open about feelings of depression. I think that's just remarkable. How many suicides could have been prevented if someone had felt more empowered to share his or her experiences? I was speaking to a friend the other day who was brushing under the table the strong feelings of malaise and helplessness that she's been hiding for years. And I could see it on her face. All of that effort of swallowing tears, emotions, and words was aging her. I hardly recognized her. The burden was weighing on her to the point that she has chronic knee and shoulder pain. She's only just turned 40. She has so many good years to look forward to. All she wanted to talk about was the physical pain, and so many people do this. If you had some nasty wound on your arm that was clearly infected and you could see it getting worse, like oozing, you'd go to the doctor, right? So why ignore these nagging feelings that cloud your mood? I mean, I've had it. I called it the black cap syndrome because there were days I felt as though I had this heavy black cap on that was overwhelming me. But now I talk. Maybe too much, some might say. But if I feel that weight creeping in, I move. I get up from my chair, sofa, bed, and I get fresh air. And I feel better. How do you tend to your mental health? Whatever it is, just make sure it's something. You deserve to be happy. Now, back to the show. I'm about to get to the bottom of the very vague moment in time when Robin and I decided that enough was enough with this trying for a baby business. I'll check in with you on the other side. When were you ready to kind of stop?
I don't know, I think I've got to bring in here the fact that as a man, the desire to have children isn't obviously as big as a woman. And I think I was always very happy not to have children, because I'd seen other people have quite good lives not having children and thought, yeah, and then, and going to the supermarket and hearing the screaming babies and stuff like that and wherever you go, and just how annoying it is and just see, women like just miserable, like carrying their children around and stuff like that, and it's like I don't actually get it, but all the guys tell me, when it happens, it's the most amazing thing in the world.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, right, well, yeah. And as a guy, I think I speak for a lot of guys. You don't get it. You don't get it. And yeah, maybe when you have a child, it probably is the most amazing thing in the world. And for all its crying and keeping you awake at night and being annoying and breaking things and stuff, it's so worth it because they're yours. But and I will never know that. I will never know whether that is true or not. So going back to, when I was willing to stop trying, I'm not sure, because I was always a bit like not that maybe as willing to try as you were. And I think that was, and I've always felt bad about that, because if I was willing to try as you were, we might have got further, better, quicker. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it was definitely, after losing the twins one. I think, yeah, it was just that was for me it. I probably really pushed on you to try and stop as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was, but it was, because it was hurting you massively.
Yeah. So the last one was when we were paying for all that expensive treatment.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember that, but then, and with that treatment, it was very kind of proactive. I had to do stuff all the time, tons of injections and things.
Yeah.
And then take the pregnancy test every month.
Yeah.
And do you remember when I woke up one morning and took the test and was just like, oh, I can't look at another negative. It was just like negative for months.
Yeah.
And I just said, that's it.
Yeah. And I do kind of remember just sometimes just like going, maybe not being just, and I know I wasn't as annoyed as you were. I was just like, because I think by that time I was like, well, yeah, it's not surprising. Can I go to sleep now?
Yes, it's exactly what you were like, and it was annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly the conversation we had that morning where I was like, it's negative. Yeah. If you want to know, did you even remember I was taking the test this morning?
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, another negative. Can I go back to sleep? And can we just stop?
Yeah. And that's kind of what it was, yeah.
And then, as if by magic...
Oh, yeah, then you went off it, and then you got pregnant. So then you were off the system, got pregnant, and then the system went, well, we can't really help you because you've been off the system.
Yeah, and I think that one, because I had already said that's it, I thought that was the miracle one, and then once we lost that one, it was just definitely like, no, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, but the injections things, they got huge needles. And you were like, well, most partners, they help inject their wives with these huge needles. Like, what?
You did one.
Did I? Oh my God, they were insane. I don't know. There was also then the thing where, I was always on about, well, a child's got to come naturally. I don't know, maybe I always use that as an excuse for getting, but I don't know, for being scared of having a child a bit, but that was a thing. It was always a bit like, well, trying to go naturally, and I suppose you sort of persuaded me, or their doctor persuaded us that, no, this is having it naturally, it's just helping the body be more natural with all these huge
such
bloody
bullshit.
Injections. It's such bullshit.
If we believe the expensive doctor, he said that I had an autoimmune condition that was fighting sperm, so making it hard for me to get pregnant, and then it was fighting the pregnancy hormone, so that wasn't good for the baby, and then fighting the embryo. So that's when we got those results, and I looked at you and we were just kind of like, what are we going to have if these are all of our problems? If we're successful, what kind of thing are we going to deliver? Isn't somebody trying to tell us not to have one?
Right.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
And then you start hearing stories about now you can get almost genetically modified babies. So what the hell? Why don't we get one of them? Can't we get a super bright baby then? It's interesting because so many people are getting pregnant at 40 at the moment. I think there's going to be a real shock. It's going to be a real change of dynamics when so many teenagers are going to start losing their parents.
Oh, that's true.
When I look back on, I've had friends who have lost, a lot of friends who have lost their mothers, strangely. And how much it's hurt them to lose their mothers at, a young age.
Yeah.
And, it's not fair. Or maybe it's made them stronger, but, that sort of thing also was going through my head. Doesn't seem right, be trying to have kids And there's an argument, you could have the argument and sort of saying, well, why did you leave it so late? It's like, well, I never really intended to leave it so late. It just took me a long time to find the love of my life kind of thing. So...
I mean, it took a long time for, us to meet. We were like... We met when we were how old?
30.
Like 30, and then it still took another... How long? 5 years for us to get married and live in the same country.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go through... Well, it was more than just go through the pre-wedding years, because we were having the whole inter-country relationship on and off and stuff.
Immigration caused my infertility.
We were talking about the surrogacy sister.
Right, so what about...
Offering surrogacy. It was like... Yeah, part of me was like going, oh God, maybe this is the way. Another part of me was just thinking that's all just a bit too redneck American, like, hold on.
You were just like, oh, wasn't that going to be like I'm having sex with your sister?
It's just, So would it be easier if I just had sex? No! I don't know what kind of redneck family I've got involved with.
Well, and then in order to do surrogacy with my sister, we would have to live in the same country for at least 3 months.
Yeah.
So that she and I could get on the same cycle, so that you could make your deposit. Not a direct deposit. So that was never going to work. Because there's no guarantee that it's going to only take 3 months as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's 3 months minimum.
Right.
So now, no kids in our future of our own. Living in our house full time. Mm-hmm. Except for when my sister ships her kids out here. Mm-hmm. Annually. Which will probably start happening soon. What do you think?
I think, how do you deal with squeezing having kids in with having a busy life? Because, just what?
How do you have time to have kids?
How do you have time to have kids? And it's lovely hanging around with our friends' kids, and it's nice to see them. But I think one of the things you also suffer from at the moment is the when you go and see friends who have kids, all they do is talk about their kids, which is which is very boring. And I get it at work, but I think I can walk away from it more. Walk in a situation and then talking about their kids, and I don't know. I think it's a bit different. I think the guys generally sort of talk about the nice things. Oh, Jimmy was doing this. He's going cute. Like that. Whilst the women are a bit more like, well, he's going through this thing. I'm not quite sure whether I should give him milk or water. It's just like
the details.
It's the details. It's just, oh no. Yeah. Tell me that. Jimmy moved on from Timmy.
Jimmy, not Timmy.
Jimmy's done well at school. He's good at running, and that's all great. That's lovely to hear. But I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose it's different from what men talk about is different from what women talk about.
Yeah, it is. But it's, I don't know. It's great, isn't it? I just can't see how we could do the things we're doing that we're used to now.
A lot would be sacrificed.
A lot would be sacrificed. And maybe that was always the case again, where I was like, oh well, we'd sacrifice a few things, but okay, it'll be worth it because you have a baby. But now it's just like, no, too much would be sacrificed. There really is so much more in the world than raising a baby, I'm sure. And we're very lucky now. We're very lucky that we can take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. While we're still young enough.
Well, we're still young enough as well. Yeah. Yeah,
because lots of people kind of have to wait until the kids move out of the house before they're like, oh, great, now we can kind of go away on a weekend or do all the things that we kind of maybe take for granted a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose we sort of... I suppose we both... You do crave your friend's children for a bit of substitution, which is fine though, because it's a bit of substitution. Yeah, I look forward to, Matteo coming over for a bit. But don't stay here any more than a month, Matteo. It's like, no, crumbs.
And new baby.
No, I take that back. Sorry, I'd love to. Matteo, you can stay here as long as you like.
As long as you're well behaved.
As long as you're well behaved. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for sitting in our backyard and talking about this underneath 16 units of other flats who are probably listening to our private conversation.
Has anybody else got anything to ask?
Anyone else want to add anything? No?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Can we have the beer can chicken now?
Yeah, let's put the beer can chicken on. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so now. And if you have any comments or feedback, or if you have your own story to tell and would like to be a guest on the show, please email me at reachhappilyeverafter@gmail.com. If you like the show, please help me promote it in any way you can. You can also write a quick review in iTunes. More reviews help make the show more visible to anyone searching for this topic. It's some algorithm thing. Another way to help is to become a Patreon. Go to the Happily Ever After Without Children page on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Happily Ever After podcast to make a monthly contribution so that I can remain an independent producer and so that you can get some awesome perks. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter if you search Happily Ever After podcast. And finally, please share details of this podcast with your network of friends and family. You never know who else might be suffering and could really use a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. This is your host, Shannon Vandermark, and I thank you for listening.